All right, so we're in my office. In this video, I wanted to go over how my agency does 100 grand a month in a very, very saturated field. We don't have a lot of clients. We only have, counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 brands. Most agencies at that size, they typically have a lot of smaller base clients. Our average retainer is about 10 grand per month. So anyways, how did I do it in a very saturated field like e-commerce agencies? So I have a little bit of an unfair advantage is because I've worked on the brand side as a growth marketing manager. But before that, I was actually on the agency side. I was working at this one agency called the Snow Agency. Essentially, I was their, one of their senior account managers. And then from there, I've always had my own book of business with smaller clients on the side, moonlighting operations. And it really wasn't up until, I think, year and a half ago when I said, you know what, I'm gonna go all in on this and launch my own practice, launch my own growth partner firm. And then from there, now we have this office, another office in there, and I have my own home office. But one of the key things that I did to grow the agency to where it's at today, we're a team of 14 people as well too, half stateside, half overseas. So don't take like this 6-figure per month agency at face value, because we have payroll, we have operating expenses, we have my draw of the business, and just like taxes and all of those things, right? Rent, just all these other little things. But the way I got here was, sounds really, really corny, was A, doing really great work, and then B, more people referring brands over to us. And that's like really where the growth started happening, because I was stuck at about, let's say 15 to 30K per month for like the longest time. And I was like brute forcing it. And my first few clients was made by DMing brands literally every single day. I put it as a note, okay, I need to send DMs to brands, 100 DMs per day. And if I don't do that, then I didn't meet my quota. Now I'm not really doing that as much. But now, like, the recent big boom was just from, brands referring a lot more brands over to us from the work that we were doing. B is that we stopped only selling one single service, so like just meta ads, just CRO. We started really becoming a growth partner for brands. So what is a growth, a meta ads provider versus growth partner? Growth partner means, hey, you hold us accountable to your external marketing stack and we will do it. So I said, this is the revenue we're gonna be, and this is gonna be XYZ things that we're gonna do. So that's gonna be meta ads, that's gonna be Google ads, it's gonna be creative strategy, there's gonna be CRO, there's gonna be all of those things. And a lot of the stuff that I learned from being on the brand side directly translated over to that. So A is doing really great work. B is by offering a full stack service. C is having a really great team. Again, all of these things you can just really read off of a book. There's no use in me giving you my winning lottery numbers because that's already taken out. Like, if you reuse it, there's gonna be a 99% chance it's not gonna work, but there's still fundamentals in there, right? So having a really great service, having a really good offer, which is like being a growth partner, and then C is having a really good team. When I first started, it was just me, and my churn was just really high because whenever I tried scaling past 3 brands, it never went anywhere. Deadlines would be pushed back, certain creatives won't be pushed live, there's certain like ads, campaigns, ad sets that would exceed past the threshold of a cost per acquisition, and I wouldn't see that. So there's just so many little things that really I missed because I didn't have the team in place now. So good service, referrals, a really great offer, and a really good team. One of the key first hires that I made outside of, like, let's say an overseas media buyer and creatives, it was like my first full hire, was an executive assistant. Absolutely changed everything. I was able to now, optically, right, be in multiple places at once, by messaging people really fast. So one of like my worst traits ever is I am not a good responder. Like if you send me a message, I will like look at it in my head, I already responded, and I'll just move on to the next thing. But if you get a few hours down the line, I still haven't responded. But getting an executive assistant who then later turned into an operations manager, managing, you know, new hires, making sure they're doing their thing, setting expectations for the hires, for the clients, for everything. Massive, massive, massive difference. And then in all of that, I always tried outbound. You know, we did cold emails. We had a podcast acquisition strategy that landed us a few clients. So that was in its own thing. I also did a little bit of a tour earlier this year by traveling to, you know, LA for conferences, Kansas City for conferences, New York for conferences. Let me see where else. Las Vegas, I went there like twice this year. Going to founder dinners, all of those things. Those outbound strategies work, but my main issue was that if you are inexperienced, do not go to these founder dinners that are meant for like these SaaS companies to sell to these founders, because these founders, they get sold all the time and they could sniff bullshit from a mile away, genuinely speaking. So once I kind of like racked up a little bit more experience, I was like able to talk about e-commerce and really come off as an expert, in which, because I was, you know, my portfolio went, you know, scaling brands from sub $8 million and, you know, a year to $50 million a year, or, you know, working with brands doing north of $10 million a month or $20 million a month. Like I was able to take in a lot of those strategies and just, you know, give them free game, and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy must have a lot more. So those were like the key things that I did to grow this agency past that. Again, this was kind of off the rip, just talking more about how I was able to break out of the 30K per month mark, which is honestly really, really hard. And then also operate this agency in a very saturated space, in a space where there's a lot more agencies than ecom brand owners, to be frank. And yeah, just operating out of being an expert in the space rather than selling a service that you have no expertise in. But yeah, let me know if you guys took anything from this.